A very warm welcome to all our viewers. This is a Times Now special broadcast. This is Inside Karnataka, a special show designed and somewhere put together to bring to our viewers an insight into what's happening in the state of Karnataka. We'll delve into various topics over the next few months ahead of elections 2023 here in Karnataka to bring to our viewers all the details pertaining to the politics, the political parties, their leaders, civic issues, crime, you name it, and we have it all in this special show. On the first episode of Inside Karnataka, we bring to you the prospects of the Congress party, which is trying very hard at this point in time to ensure that they win the state back. But the biggest hurdle before them, of course, is somewhere the differences that's simmering at this point in time between the top leaders in the party, especially Mr. Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar. So can the grand old party really put aside these differences and fight as one as their top leadership wants? That's the question we are asking today as we bring you various interviews from political pundits to, of course, the politicians themselves. I've covered Karnataka for almost a decade and witnessed how the political dynamics over time have completely changed in a state that was once the bastion of the Congress party. In fact, even though the Congress nationally has been in a state of decline, Karnataka is among the few states in the country where it continues to be a serious alternative in the eyes of the voters against an ascending BJP. In the 2013 state elections, in the build-up to the Lok Sabha polls of 2014, and at a time when speculation was rife that Narendra Modi would be leading his party's national campaign, the Congress pulled off a victory in Karnataka. It helped the Congress that the state's former Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa had fallen out with the BJP over allegations of corruption and had quit to form his own party that split the BJP vote. But the result for the Congress was very much against the run of play, so to speak. When the party's reputation for governance at the centre had suffered a serious blow amid a spate of scams and a weakening economy. Siddaramaiah took over as the Chief Minister, a veteran politician with a career spanning more than 4 decades across different political formations in Karnataka, including the Janata governments, a long association with H.D. Devegowda in the Janata Dal Secular, including a stint as Deputy Chief Minister, and joining the Congress in 2005, emerging as one of the most prominent faces of the party in the state since then. Commanding massive support among the Kuruba community to which he belongs, Siddaramaiah's popularity and appeal extends well beyond castes. Nevertheless, in a state with high anti-incumbency, the Congress party's seat share fell from 120 in 2013 to 78 in 2018. Though the Congress and the JDS was able to cobble together enough numbers to forestall the formation of a BJP government, this coalition proved short-lived owing to a series of defections, paving way for the return of Yediyurappa as the Chief Minister. In 2021, there was a leadership change, with Basavaraj Bommai, another Lingayat, replacing Yediyurappa. But the defeat in 2018 did not necessarily mean that Siddaramaiah's political stock had fallen. In August, I covered his 75th birth anniversary celebrations in Davangere, more than 250 kilometers from the capital city of Bengaluru. From across the state, people travelled by trains, buses, even on foot, to partake in an occasion that they believed was the surest sign that their leader, Siddaramaiah, was the chief ministerial face for the Congress party in the upcoming state elections.
ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಅಭಿಮಾನಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರು ಈ ದಿವಸ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಜೆಪಿಯ ಬೆಲೆ ಏರಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಜೈ ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ
Well, I'm standing on the highway leading up to Shamanur and Davangere, and you can see the entire highway blocked at this point in time. No vehicles. You can see the buses that have stopped at the end of this, about a 6-kilometer jam at this point in time. People preferring to walk because, the vehicles are not able to move across the stretch. While the supporters, of course, are making their way here in huge numbers. But for the people commuting on the highway, it could come as a huge problem. Meanwhile, the chorus here for Siddaramaiah to become the next Chief Minister continues.
I like the person Siddaramaiah ji, but I also share his views. I share his compassion for the poor and the weak. And I also appreciate the way Siddaramaiah ji ran the last government of Karnataka.
ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೆದರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪಾಪ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಬ್ಬ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಲಕ್ಷಾಂತರ ಜನ ಸೇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದಾವಣಗೆರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಭಯ ಹತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಸೋಲಿನ ಭಯ. ಈಗ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಬ್ಬ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ ಅಲ್ವಾ, 77ನೇ ವರ್ಷ. ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ, ನನಗೂ ಕರೆದಿದ್ರು, ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದರು, ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಬ್ಬ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾಕಪ್ಪ, ಇದಕ್ಕೇನು ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಬ್ಬ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದು ಬಂದೆ, ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಯಾಕೆ ನಾನು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಬ್ಬ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ನಾನು 75 ವರ್ಷ ತುಂಬಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರುಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಭಿಮಾನಿಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ತಾವ್ರೆ. ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಭಯ, ಯಾಕೆ ಯಾಕ್ರಿ ಭಯ? ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಭಯ ಇಲ್ಲರಿ. ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿದವ್ರು ನಿಮಗೆ? ನೀವು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮೋತ್ಸವ ಅಂತ ಬರೆದವ್ರು ನೀವು. ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಹಂಗೆ. ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮೋತ್ಸವ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದು, ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ 75 ಅಮೃತೋತ್ಸವ. ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಹಂಗೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಬರೀರಿ. ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ 75 ಅಮೃತೋತ್ಸವ.
Also present at the grand celebrations were Rahul Gandhi, DK Shivakumar, the president of the Congress party in Karnataka, a loyal congressman and an influential Vakaliga leader who has been with the party for more than 3 decades, as opposed to Siddaramaiah, who was a recruit to the party just about 17 years ago. Shivakumar has also been the party's troubleshooter. In fact, as far back as 2002, it was DK Shivakumar who was tasked with the responsibility of sheltering more than 40 MLAs from the Congress in Maharashtra when the then Chief Minister Vilas Rao Deshmukh was facing a vote of no confidence. In 2017, he played an integral role in ensuring the victory of Ahmed Patel in the Rajya Sabha elections by whisking 44 MLAs of the Congress in Gujarat to the safety of a resort in Karnataka. And he played an instrumental role in the formation of the JDS-Congress coalition, albeit for a limited period of time in 2018. What has been a source of worry for the Congress, however, is that Shivakumar has been at the receiving end of a slew of investigations over alleged corruption by central agencies. Has DK Shivakumar been appropriately rewarded for this loyalty? It was interesting to see Rahul Gandhi prompt both DK Shivakumar and Siddaramaiah to embrace each other on the stage during the latter's birthday celebrations. If it was really a gesture that had to be prompted rather than being born out of any genuine emotion, what are we to assess about the unity within the ranks of the supporters of these two pillars of the party in the state?
There is no leadership issue in Karnataka. We are going on a collective leadership. That is the party mandate. We all have sat together, decided that we will fight the election with a collective leadership.
Now, I was in Davangere to witness the massive celebration for the 75th birthday of Mr. Siddaramaiah. While, of course, the crowds were unprecedented, something that I haven't seen in the recent past in any of the political gatherings, the big question that really comes up is, will it translate to votes for the Congress party? And another question is, while we saw the party president hug Mr. Siddaramaiah on stage on the behest of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, or at least on the indications of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, now, will this event, or did this event cause a bigger rift between the two leaders is the big question that comes up. Now, we've brought you a lot of details, but on the other side of this short break, we're going to tell you how important is the state of Karnataka for the Congress party. And is it just the Congress party that needs to get its house in order, or does the ruling BJP too need to do that? Stay tuned. Welcome back to this special broadcast. You're watching Inside Karnataka, where we were discussing about the Congress party's prospects in the upcoming election and how the two top leaders and their infighting really will affect these prospects. Now, the Congress party, of course, needs Karnataka. It is very important for them to win this particular state. They have had it in the past and they want to now get it back, because there have been a host of issues across the country. They have lost in multiple states, and the infighting within the party has been a big concern. Now, we've seen that happen in Rajasthan with Mr. Sachin Pilot, almost breaking away. We've seen Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia, break away, join the BJP. We've seen infighting in Chhattisgarh and, various other places. Now, whether this infighting here in Karnataka will really dent the prospects of the Congress party in the upcoming polls, that's the question. And how will the Congress party be able to quell this internal dissidence is also something that will probably go on to define whether it's going to be make or break for the grand old party. The sight of Rahul Gandhi brokering peace between Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar to any keen observer of politics would bring back images of similar attempts being made in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Punjab, and in each of those states the Congress party to varying degrees faced internal rebellion. How closely knit is the party in Karnataka, and what does it mean for the next elections? For these insights, I spoke to two individuals who know Karnataka politics more than the most. As we continue to delve into more details about the Congress party's prospects, the question that really comes up is how much of a rat race has it become between Mr. DK Shivakumar and the former Chief Minister, Mr. Siddaramaiah. To talk more about this, I have a political analyst and very senior journalist, Mr. Ramakrishna Upadhyay, with me. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We're in a beautiful location here in Bengaluru's Bugle
South
Walk
Bangalore.
Absolutely. And we're not going to be talking about South Bangalore. That's a topic for another day. But coming to this particular issue, between DK and Siddaramaiah. Now, I'd like to ask you, like I was just mentioning, has it become a rat race of sorts?
You may call it so, because you see, Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar have never been on very good terms. In fact, you remember that Siddaramaiah became Chief Minister. You didn't make him a Minister in the beginning. Only after 2 years, the party forced him to take him to the cabinet. So they had tensions between them. And then Siddaramaiah said, this is my last election during that year. But now he's saying that this is going to be my last election. So he's very much in the race and he wants to be the Chief Minister for another term. Whereas we know DK Shivakumar has also been very, very ambitious, and he knows this is his best chance because he's become the KPCC president. And after a lot of sacrifice, I would say, for the party, because he's done a lot in the last 4 years. Maybe we can dwell on it a little more later. So he expects that he should be projected as a CM candidate, but that doesn't seem to be happening. Okay. The other day when Siddaramaiah had this 75th birthday celebrated, see, it was supposed to be just a private affair. I mean, somebody's birthday is just a private, but he just, he managed it so cleverly that he made it into a party issue, party affair.
So I'd want to come to the crux of this matter. Now, collective leadership is what the Congress aspires. Do you really see that happening going into the polls for the Congress? And, if this sort of disunity of sorts continues, what do you make of the Congress's prospects for, 2023?
I think it's going to be very, very tough. If they cannot make up, and then have a working relationship. You see, the crux of the matter will be when, candidates are selected. Absolutely. Now, that is when you are going to fight and you are going to, put your candidate, I want to put my candidate, that kind of a situation comes. Then you are not going to have the best candidates. So you have to look at winning as many seats as possible. I mean, both of them are, have been in politics for a long time. Siddaramaiah has been a former Chief Minister, is at 6 terms of this thing, and DK is at 7 terms, and, he's been 4-time Minister. So they should sit together and work it out. So they should say, look, let us first get the party elected. Let us get the majority. Because without the majority, It's going to be back to square one, 2018. So, JDS will come into play.
We have veteran senior journalist Ms. Nahid Ataullah joining us, and she of course has been the political editor for the Times of India and now an independent freelance journalist. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us on this special broadcast.
Thank you.
And today I'd like to start off, you've seen both these leaders, grow from very young days, and you've probably spoken to them at various occasions of their political careers. Firstly, tell us about each of them. What makes them brand DK Shivakumar or brand Siddaramaiah?
Okay. Siddaramaiah started his career in the 1983 and then he got elected as an independent candidate. And from there his journey has been a gradual rise. So he has worked his way up the hard way.
Yeah.
And I can say the same thing for DK Shivakumar also. Because in 1985 he came into politics, and then earlier he was contestant and independent, and now he has been with the Congress also. And he has been one of the most loyal congressmen the Congress High Command has got.
Yeah.
So I think both DK Shivakumar and Siddaramaiah, though Siddaramaiah joined the Congress party in 2006,
Yeah.
but now he has got himself assimilated into the party.
Yeah.
And the common factor now is both are great leaders,
Yeah.
and then now we are seeing what they deny is a tussle for the chief ministerial post.
Yeah.
His birthday celebrations rally, that I think sent a message to the Congress High Command, because the crowd which we saw,
Yeah.
I think it was overwhelming.
Yes.
Nobody, even the Congress party did not
Yes.
expect it.
Yes.
So that message has gone that Siddaramaiah has as we can say today, has an edge over DK Shivakumar.
Okay.
But at the same time, DK Shivakumar, as I said, is also a very good organizer. But the scenario for the Congress party since the last 8 months has changed. Because the crowd which we saw on the Tiranga Yatra, that's last week, and Siddaramaiah's birthday celebration was spontaneous.
Yeah.
And it was not a crowd which was hired
Yeah.
or was
Yeah.
brought to the occasion.
Yeah. Those I spoke to in the Congress party were predictably playing safe in their responses to questions over party unity. There have been differences that have simmered between the two top leaders here, Mr. Siddaramaiah and Mr. DK Shivakumar. Top leadership of the party, how are they looking at ensuring that, the talk of collective leadership and running into the elections, how is that going to be maintained considering the differences that are simmering?
Well, when differences simmer, you attempt to find a framework of agreement, and they appear to have come to a framework of agreement. And as for the prospects of the Congress, I think it would be very unfortunate for the people of Karnataka if they voted for anyone else, because the BJP is in an even worse state of internecine fighting than the Congress is, and the other parties, the JDS and so forth, are clearly not capable of themselves forming a government. So the rational choice in Karnataka would be to vote for the Congress, and the even more rational choice would be to vote for a Congress in which there is no internal fighting.
I have the working president, Mr. Salim Ahmad, who's going to be joining us. Thank you for making time to speak to Times Now on this special broadcast. I'd like to ask you at the outset, 2023, is the Congress coming back?
Definitely and 100%. Congress is going to come back to power in Karnataka. The misdeeds and the most corrupt government in the country, the corruption capital of India, Karnataka, which has become, people would like to have a change. The corrupt government, the price rise, and a lot of issues which are there. The people are fed up with this government. And also, from last 3 years, we have been fighting against this government on all issues. The failure in Corona, the failure in price rise, all these issues are going to help. And at the same time, not for power, the people would like to have a change because they are remembering our governments, Congress governments, which have been helping people. And this government, which came to power by Operation Lotus, is definitely, so definitely they are feeling that Congress government was better, And now people feel that yes, whenever government election takes place,
You, of course, are very confident, and well, you say this. Now, yes, there is issue of incumbency. You know, you have been making various charges of allegations against this government. Putting that aside, the question is, can the party really keep its house in order? That's the question that comes up for. Now, it is anyone who understands Karnataka politics will realize that the two leaders, Mr. Siddaramaiah, Mr. DK Shivakumar, are essential to the party. If they cannot join forces, will they be able to join forces? And we've seen some sort of differences. Can they put that aside for the election?
Who said there are differences? There are no differences. This has been created by some media. Congress is fighting an ideological battle. Congress is fighting against corrupt this BJP government. The way DK Shivakumar, the way Mr. Siddaramaiah, our leaders Mallikarjun Kharge, DK Hariprasad, all these leaders we are just fighting against this corrupt government. And because of that one, and also the people will definitely support Congress party on this ideological commitment, and also the leadership of Srimati Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi. The important part is the people are suffering in the state. Farmers are suffering, women are suffering, unemployed youths are suffering. There is no government left here. The Congress party, which is principal opposition, we have a responsibility. This party came 137 years back. This party got freedom to this country. We are not after power. At the same time, Congress as a principal opposition, we have to do our responsibility, discharge our responsibility. So now we are taking the 3-4 issues we have been discussed. One meeting at Hubli Political Affairs Committee, which was attended by Sri Rahul Gandhi ji. The other day, Mr. Surjewala ji attended this 2 days back meeting. We discussed that how we have to expose this corrupt government.
So corruption is
Corruption
main
is
issue.
number
What is the other one?
The other is price rise.
Okay, price rise. So corruption, price rise.
These are most important issues, and there is no government in the Karnataka
Okay.
because they are all corrupt.
But how strong is the ruling dispensation in Karnataka? The BJP has expanded strongly in the state, and Karnataka is a gateway to the BJP's growth in southern India. But it's not as if Basavaraj Bommai's tenure as chief minister has been trouble or controversy free. Most recently, following a spate of political murders in the state, the party faced desertions in coastal Karnataka. Moreover, a purported leaked conversation allegedly involving a state law minister J.C. Madhuswamy over his government being a non-functioning one that's only pulling through for the next 7 to 8 months has embarrassed the party. While the Congress party has to deal with its internal squabbles, it's not a bed of roses for the BJP as well. On one hand, there is the talk of leadership changes. Every couple of months, one or the other statements coming in from their own leaders, or rumors being spread that there would be a change of chief minister. Then you have some controversies that emerge time and again with some of the political leaders talking about the government not functioning and just being pushed till the elections. So while of course the Congress is dealing with its problems, the BJP has a big share of their own. But the big question is, with this divide with the top leadership of the Congress, are they in a position to really capitalize on the issues of the current government and also the incumbency factor that comes along with it? There are enough rumblings within both the Congress and the BJP in Karnataka, making for an interesting build-up to the elections next year. While on one hand, the incumbent BJP government has its own share of problems to deal with, from challenges with regard to who is going to be the chief minister's face. Can Mr. Bommai really lead the party into victory? How is it going to be for the BJP without Mr. B.S. Yediyurappa at the helm of affairs, the Lingayat votes, the charges of corruption and much more? The Congress, of course, deals with the internal squabbles, and if they can really stitch that together, they do stand a strong chance in the upcoming polls. That's all we have in this episode of Inside Karnataka. Do stay tuned and keep watching Times Now, as in the weeks to come, we will bring you more details, more insight into the happenings in the political scenario and every other scenario which of course matter in the run-up to 2023.